So, you've been hearing about the Sony A7 III for years now, right? It's one of those cameras that everyone seems to recommend. Beginners love it, pros respect it, and honestly, it just works. But now Nikon's come out with something new that's got people talking, the Z5 II. So the question is, has the king been dethroned? Or is the Sony A7 III still holding its ground in 2025? That's what we're diving into today. We'll talk image quality, autofocus, video, usability, and real-world experience, not just specs. Because let's face it, what looks good on paper doesn't always tell the whole story. Whether you're buying your first full-frame camera or just wondering if it's time to upgrade, this is one comparison you don't want to miss. Let's start with the sensors of these cameras. Both cameras are packing a 24 megapixel full-frame sensor, where the Sony A7 III gives you 24.2 megapixels and the Nikon Z5 II nudges that up to 24.5 megapixels. Not a huge difference, but still. Both use backside illuminated designs, which help a lot in low light by letting more light hit the sensor. Now here's something that's interesting. The Sony A7 III still holds its own, even after all these years. It's got a fantastic dynamic range, so you can pull shadows, tone down highlights, and really stretch your raw files in post without destroying the image. But Nikon's not sitting quietly. The Z5 II brings really impressive low-light performance, especially when it comes to autofocus. Nikon claims it can focus down to -10 exposure value. That's basically pitch black. Combine that with a new processor and better in-body stabilization, and you're looking at a camera that's surprisingly capable in dark environments. So here's the trade-off. Sony gives you that gorgeous detail recovery in post, while Nikon offers a bit more confidence when you're shooting in low light or handheld. Which matters more? Depends on your style. Here's where things get really interesting. Sony's A7 III was ahead of its time when it launched. Over 600 phase detection points, near total frame coverage, and eye autofocus that just works. It's fast, responsive, and super reliable. Even today, it's still considered one of the best in its class. But Nikon's not just trying to catch up, they're taking a different approach. The Z5 II uses AI-based subject detection, and it recognizes all kinds of subjects. People, birds, cats, dogs, trains, planes, bicycles. Seriously, if it moves, this camera probably sees it, and it tracks them well. The interface is pretty intuitive too. You don't need to dig through menus to tell it what to focus on. It often just figures it out. That said, Sony still feels a bit faster in tracking motion. If you're shooting sports or anything that moves unpredictably, that real-time autofocus from Sony still holds up beautifully. Nikon's smart, but sometimes it can hesitate, especially if the subject is moving between objects or popping in and out of the frame. So yeah, Sony might be a hair faster, but Nikon's autofocus is just more aware, smarter, not necessarily quicker. Something to think about, depending on your workflow. Okay, let's talk about speed. Because who doesn't like shooting a burst of 30 photos per second? 30. That's what Nikon's offering with the Z5 II when you use the electronic shutter. 30 frames. That's nuts, especially in a camera that's not even positioned as a flagship. And on top of that, you've got this cool pre-capture mode that starts buffering images before you even press the shutter. So if you've ever missed a moment by just a fraction of a second, this feature could save you. Now Sony's A7 III maxes out at 10 frames per second. At launch, that was a big deal. And honestly, for most kinds of photography, that's more than enough. But if you're capturing wildlife, sports, or kids that never sit still, yeah, Nikon's speed advantage might win you over. But here's the catch. Snapping 30 photos a second creates a lot of data. Your memory cards fill up fast. That's why it's such a relief that Nikon finally gave us dual card slots. You've got more room, better backup, and way less stress. Took them long enough, right? Now, if you're shooting video, this section's for you. The Sony A7 III has been a hybrid workhorse. You get beautiful 4K footage, full pixel readout, and support for S-Log profiles. It doesn't do 10-bit or high frame rates, but it's solid. Filmmakers, YouTubers, vloggers, you've probably seen hundreds of channels using this exact camera. But Nikon stepped up their game. The Z5 II now offers 4K at 60 frames per second, 12-bit N-RAW recording in camera, N-Log, and even slow motion at 5 times. It's kind of shocking how far they've come in this area. Plus, Nikon added simple live streaming support, and it works great as a webcam too. If you're into content creation and want better color depth and flexibility straight out of the camera, Nikon gives you more modern tools to work with. That said, Sony still wins in one area: ecosystem. There are just more video accessories, more third-party gear, and more lens options available for Sony right now. So if you're already invested or want to build a serious rig, Sony makes it easier. But if you're starting fresh and want modern codecs and better in-camera options, Nikon's now a serious contender. Let's get into how these cameras feel. Sony's A7 III is lightweight, well-built, and familiar. But the design hasn't changed much. The grip is okay, not the deepest, and the electronic viewfinder and screen are starting to show their age. They're usable, but definitely not top tier anymore. The Nikon Z5 II, on the other hand, feels a bit more refined. The grip is deeper, more comfortable, and the electronic viewfinder is stunning. Up to 3000 nits of brightness. That's 6 times brighter than what a lot of cameras in this range offer. You really notice it when you're shooting outdoors or in bright sunlight. Nikon's menu system is also easier to navigate, especially if you're new or coming from a DSLR. Sony's menus, especially in the A7 III, still feel cluttered and require a bit of a learning curve. Not a deal breaker, but worth keeping in mind. Both cameras feel solid in the hand, but Nikon's just feels fresher, a little more modern, more comfortable for longer shoots. Battery life. This is where Sony just keeps winning. The A7 III uses that legendary NP-FZ 100 battery, and it can go all day. Over 700 shots on a single charge. For video, you're still getting around 2 hours of continuous recording. You'll forget what it's like to worry about running out of juice. Nikon's battery isn't bad, but it's not quite on Sony's level. You're still going to want to carry a second one, especially if you shoot video or use the electronic viewfinder heavily. But Nikon brings something new to the table here: connectivity. With the Z5 II, you've got access to Nikon's imaging cloud. That means automatic firmware updates, cloud backups, and even downloadable color profiles straight from your phone or Wi-Fi connection. That's kind of cool. It adds a level of smart functionality that makes the whole experience feel a bit more connected. So it's old school reliability versus new school integration. Again, it really depends on what you value more. So here we are, 2 full-frame cameras. One, a proven workhorse that just keeps going. The other, a fresh contender that's learned a lot from the competition. The Sony A7 III is now sitting at around $1,800, which is honestly a fantastic deal for everything it still offers. You're getting a solid performer that's been battle-tested with a huge community, tons of tutorials, and a wide range of lenses and accessories. It's the safe, dependable choice, and for a lot of people, that's exactly what you want. Now, the Nikon Z5 II comes in at $1,699.95. So yeah, it's a few $100s more, but you're getting a more modern shooting experience. Faster burst rates, 12-bit NRAW video, smarter autofocus, a bright high-res electronic viewfinder, and those cloud-connected features that just make life easier. So what's the answer? Is the Sony A7 III still king? Honestly, yes and no. If you already own Sony gear or need long battery life and a massive lens selection, stick with the A7 III. It's not going anywhere. But if you're buying your first mirrorless camera in 2025 and want a little more speed, smarts, and convenience, the Nikon Z5 II is hard to ignore. It may cost more, but it feels like a camera that's built for what photographers and content creators actually need right now. So, what do you think? Would you still go for the Sony A7 III, or is the Z5 II the upgrade you didn't see coming? Let us know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. As for everything else, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want more content like this on your feed.